Good idea. So at Creative Communities, we work with families, teachers inside of schools and outside of schools, libraries, maker spaces, all kinds of really interesting educational spaces. And a lot of the time we try to focus on both designing and then also researching how people learn with technology and through coding and through all these other interdisciplinary means, like you'll see some examples of here in a second. And also before this, I worked at a science center. So I was an education person at the science center, and I helped make exhibits and made like the signage for the exhibits and brought people through the museum space. And I also worked at an educational technology company too. So I've been in lots of different educational spaces. So that's just that's a tiny bit about me. Let's see. Okay, so this could be a whole talk in and of itself, and I really want to keep us moving. So I won't go too much into detail here, but we can certainly talk more about this. But I think whether you're interested in computing and coding, programming or not, you can't deny that it shapes the world that we live in and will continue to shape the world that we live in. And, for that reason, I think having at least some understanding of how those computational systems work can be helpful, necessary, maybe a little bit of both of those things. Another reason, and this is what I find really exciting about computing, why I'm focusing on computing, is because I think it really opens up lots of possibilities. So when you bring computing and coding into the picture, I think it opens up lots of new ways of making art, of conducting science, of helping people on the planet, analyzing data, just really anything that you can imagine. I think there's some overlaps with computing that are really interesting to explore. And this is when I got interested in coding and programming, because I wasn't really interested in coding, during my childhood and during my undergraduate studies. It wasn't until I had experiences with coding that made me think, wow, like I can do way more now than I could before, that I got really excited about it. And then I also think that if we want everybody to understand these computational systems that shape our world, we have to have diverse entry points into computing. And we also have to have diverse experiences with computing, because whether you plan to be a STEM computing professional software developer, whatever it is, or not, you might decide that you don't really want to dig into coding, and that's fine too. But I think that you deserve the invitation to investigate that, and an invitation that's compelling and relevant and personally meaningful. And so this is my aspirational working vision about what I think that computing could be or should be, learning about computing. And so all of these things, right? I think that learning about computing should be playful and joyful and creative. I think that it should be accessible and equitable. I think it should be infused into lots of different disciplines, like we already touched on a little bit, and also distributed throughout life. So not just K through 12, right? But preschoolers, senior citizens, adults like us, we can all engage in and learn about code. And then I also think that it should be meaningful at lots of different levels. So the personal level, cultural levels, community levels. And this is something that I'm always striving towards. I'm sure I don't live up to this, but this is sort of what I aspire towards when I'm thinking about the types of experiences that I want people to have with computing, including myself. Okay, so microbit, what on earth is it? It's pictured here. You'll get to play with them if you're here in person here in a minute. And basically it's a teeny tiny computer, also called a microcontroller. And it came about because in the UK, they wanted to give these microcontrollers to all of their students so that everybody had an opportunity to learn how to code. So literally every single student in some age range, I don't remember what it was off the top of my head, they got these little microcontrollers and they learned how to do some coding. And this last bullet point here, the reason I really like the microbit is because I think that it has low floors. So it's sort of easy to get into it, relatively easy to get started. I think it has wide walls. So there's lots of different things that you can do with the microbit, lots of directions that you can go. And then high ceilings. I think you can make really simple things, but you can also make really complex and complicated things with the microbit. It's all a matter of what you want to do with it. And just to give you a tiny overview of the microbit to ground the examples that I'm going to show you. And we'll get to explore this a little bit later. The special thing about the microbit is that it has a bunch of stuff built into it. So a lot of the time, these microcontrollers, like the little brains of these computers, you have to plug in a bunch of stuff to it to make it work. You have to plug in the buttons, you have to plug in the lights. But the microbit, you can sort of see here, it has things like lights built into it. There are buttons built into it. There's a speaker, there's a sound sensor, there's a compass. All of these things are baked into this tiny little thing. But even though it is this tiny little thing, it can still connect to this whole wide world of electronic tools. And this picture is from a garden greenhouse experience. So it's showing a bunch of the plant-related sensors that you can connect to. So it's that little gold strip at the bottom there that just plugs into things, and then you can access all of these other tools. And then how do you code it? How do you do the programming part of it? That's another thing that I think is super cool. You can program it online via your internet browser for free. And you can use blocks, which is what this picture is showing here, where you can sort of drag and drop code together like puzzle pieces. But you can also go to different places. You can code in JavaScript, you can code in Python, which are languages that have a lot of relevance for professionals in particular. And you can switch back and forth. So you can code in blocks and then say, I want to see what this looks like in JavaScript, and it will do that translation for you. And this sounds like an ad for Microbit. I assure you, they do not pay me. It's just one of my favorite tools because of all of these reasons that I'm sharing, and also because of this. So there are so many resources, tutorials, references, guides available online for free. So there's this huge ecosystem around the microbit that I think is so helpful, especially when you're getting started or you need a new idea. You know that there's probably somebody out there who has made a great guide to help you out. Oh, and then this is just to say, again, because this is not an ad for Microbit, that there are other tools that I like and that I think are really great for exploring coding with kids. So I don't want to discount these other tools. And this is just a couple examples of some of them. So this is just one tool that we're going to focus on in particular today. There's this whole other range of tools that you could look at too. So I wanted to come back to this idea of infusing into multiple disciplines computing, because that's going to be the focus of some of the examples that I'll share. So I am interested in looking at how computing and tools like the microbit can authentically and meaningfully connect disciplines, you know, not doing it just for the sake of doing it, but actually opening up new possibilities. And this word transdisciplinary, this was in the talk description. And what does that mean? I think a lot of us have heard the word interdisciplinary. And to me, that's like when one subject helps another, like I'm using my art skills to help me communicate something about science. But to me, and this is, you know, we could talk about this. I know people have lots of opinions about this word, but transdisciplinary is like when disciplines are having this back and forth conversation with each other. And when there's a lot of overlap and really blurry boundaries, and you can't quite tell, is it just art or is it just science? I don't know. So that's sort of what I mean by transdisciplinary. And it's something to keep an eye out for in the examples that I'll show you. So jumping right into it, the first example that I'm going to show you, this I'm calling light play boxes. And just to give you all some context, we did these activities in school settings, both during the school day and after school in a workshop setting. We did it with elementary and middle schoolish aged kids and also with graduate students, so adult college students. And then those are just some of the different topics, practices, disciplines that we're bringing together here. So the goal of this experience was to create a collaborative art display with microbit, which is what you're seeing here, and these multicolored lights. and to learn a little bit about how coding and crafting can work together to create this. So my friend Brian here is, he's pushing buttons, and there's a high five spot on this little control panel box outside of their art display. And the students had to program different responses. So when the button pressed, they had to make their light box do some interesting effect. And this is what it looked like. So they were progressing through, first they just explored light and shadow and got a sense of how materials work together with light. And then they learned how to code. So they did a little bit of coding of some LED lights. And then they really went back and forth between constructing their boxes and doing the coding to make that display you were seeing. And this is what the backside of those boxes look like. I think is almost as interesting as the front. So you can see some adults were really into learning how to laser cut. So they were learning how to use the laser cutter to cut these intricate cardboard pieces that you're seeing here. But you can also use just everyday scrappy materials. So the bottom right box is showing 3D printer waste from the makerspace that was upcycled into art piece. And these are from my friend Jane at Atlanta International School. So I also did this workshop online with students, and they did the same deal. They learned how to code, they played with light and shadow, they brought together craft and code. But here we worked with a theater teacher actually who got me and the students thinking about how you can use light and how you can program light to tell stories about emotion and how you can create atmosphere. So he brought in that perspective, which I thought was really, really special. And they did the same thing. They sort of created this modular display, but they also tied it into other things that they were learning about and working with. So they were investigating these global sustainability goals. So they ended up making boxes that were about that. Okay, so this one comes from the Science Center of Iowa. This is where I used to work and still do work with them sometimes. This was a camp about imagining the future of their communities. And this was for 2nd through 6th-ish, 7th grade. And we chunked it up, early elementary, later elementary. And this was a summer camp setting. So it was offered by the school and students could choose to attend. So what they did first is they mapped their communities as they are now. So this was their community through their own eyes. And then they brought it to life with some robotics kits using the microbit, some lights, some motors. And I wanted to show one person in particular, his example. So hopefully the sound will play for everybody. So just to give some context, this is an amphitheater that he is imagining in his future community that plays some musical shows. And there's only one microbit playing here, but he programmed 2 microbits to play some music together.
Take the backpack to show us that it's not among us. I bet that one was really cool, like if we're able to tell like that. Take the backpack to show us that.
I wanted to show his code because I love what ownership he took over it. He's calling it my own composition and he's naming it. And he has, started to engage in these it looks complex, these complex investigations of code. But what I think is really special here is that he was discovering these connections between musical concepts like repeats in sheet music and computational concepts like loops. So he was going back and forth between his musical knowledge and applying that to his programming that he was doing here. He was also so excited to share this with a band teacher who was in the building. So that was a really special moment too. They got to come together and he got to share what he'd made. Okay, so this was a really big exploration of how biology can intersect with computing. So I've just tried to pull out a couple particularly interesting things, but there's more to share here, that's for sure. So all of these experiences are sort of rooted in the fact that you can collect data about plants and their environment. So soil temperature, moisture, humidity, that sort of thing, by using the microbit. So these are some early greenhouse, tabletop-sized greenhouse prototypes that we were collecting data from. And you can also take the data off of that microbit. So you can collect this data about the plants in their environments. And you can analyze that data in traditional ways, like with graphs, but also this animation that I'll play here is another way of representing data from the microbit. So what you're seeing here, this was programmed to show humidity and temperature. So if you look closely, those blue circles that are getting darker and moving faster, that's the humidity levels. The higher the humidity was in the data that was collected with the microbit, the more those circles are spinning. And then yellow and orange circles, that was temperature. So the higher the temperature was, the darker those circles are. So that's a big idea in biology in particular, is this inverse relationship between humidity and temperature. And by collecting their own data and representing it in this way, you come to this understanding just by looking at it and observing, this animation that you've made. And so we started to experiment with some more, this is starting to look really complicated and messy, these more complex greenhouses that were vaporizing water. That's what you're seeing there. So when the microbit sensed that the humidity was too low, it would turn on this water humidifier and make it more humid in the greenhouse. You can do all of that just with data and things that plug into the microhouse or the microbit. And I saw people take this up online in really interesting ways. So it's hard to see, but one person, they built this whole Lego contraption, Diego from Electrify, and made this really amazing environment that used the microbit to water their plants. And then the other one that's a little bit more difficult to see, is a mother-daughter duo, and Avia in particular does a lot of really awesome things with microbit. That's the daughter. And this is her microbit greenhouse that she made. So she made a fully automated system just with the microbit that opened vents and watered plants and did all kinds of cool stuff. But then the pandemic and remote learning happened, and we had to really shift gears. So we had to be able to work with students at home, and that meant that we ended up making kits so that every student took home what you're seeing here. It had the microbit, it had stuff for growing plants, it had different sensors. And this is something that I know Ames folks are very familiar with, the making of kits. So we had to make a lot of different kits with a lot of different supplies and get them out to all of these students so they can make their own little greenhouses. And we also, this was sort of an interesting learning moment because we had to pivot from some of these nicer, well-made sensors to making our own sensors. But that was cool because we got to learn about how everyday materials like here, just 2 nails plugged into the microbit, can become a soil moisture sensor. So the other thing, again, that's nice about microbit is that you can learn about all of this online. So there's really great tutorials and resources for that. And here is another direction. Unfortunately, the website that goes with this isn't live anymore, but what you're seeing here is data from hydroponic gardens that were in classrooms, and they're being represented through lights and the way that these lights are animating and moving in these giant art sculptures that my friend Lila made, but also students made these lanterns in their classrooms. So they learned about how to take care of their hydroponic garden and how to collect data from it. And they also made these really beautiful representations with the microbit that brought that data to life. Okay, so that was my 3 bigger case studies. And now I just want to show you a couple small, scrappy little things that I've tried or that I've worked on. And also to say this process of making these little quick, messy examples, for me, that's been really important for finding, all of the stuff that the microbit can do, because it's sort of overwhelming when you have all of these options. So this is a part of my process. The first thing, we have these microbit data drawings. So this is a drawing machine, and it's just showing data from the microbit. So when I tilt the microbit, it moves the pen in different directions. The next one is recording sound. So every time that the pen jumps a little bit, it's because it's heard a sound in the background. So that's why I'm, sort of tapping by the microbit. So each of those little spikes on the drawing becomes a representation of that piece of data. Okay, so this one is about making interactive anatomical models. So this one, we made a model of the bicep flexing and extending. And the idea was that you could wear a microbit on your wrist or arm too. And then as you moved your arm up and down, it would also move the model's arm up and down. And this, we've been playing with automata today or this weekend. And this is a scrolling cardboard automata game. And that scrolling paper background that you see there that's moving is controlled by the microbit and a motor that's attached to it. So you can use code to make your game harder or easier by telling it how fast to move that background. You know, the faster the background moves, the harder it probably is to get your character to navigate that little background. And I think this is the last one, we'll see. So this is the start of an idea I had about how you could control a little hologram-like illusion that I made in Scratch by using the microbit. So the idea was that you could, again, wear the microbit somewhere on your body, and when you flap your arms, you can also make this little hologram flap its bat wings. And okay, so this was a project I documented during my artist residency with the Tinkering Studio a couple of years ago. And the idea was that you can use the microbit to make a light painting glove. So you might have seen light paintings where people take a light and they move it around and they do this long exposure and it tracks the trail of the light to make this drawing basically made out of light. With the microbit, you can tell it exactly what to do. So maybe when I move my hand really fast, it makes the light one color. When I press a button on my glove, it makes the light a different color. So it makes new types of drawings possible. And then, so this is a sneak peek of the work that we've been doing here at Ames together. So we've been co-designing this activity that brings together code, craft, and design to invite students to design their own board games that they then make interactive and augment with the microbit. So I think this will be a future colloquium topic, right? Yes. So you'll get the chance to learn more about this and what it's been like to implement it a little bit later. And that was a whirlwind tour. That was the tip of the iceberg. And I'm going to stop the presentation part here, and then we can do some exploring with the microbit together. But I also just want to take a breather and ask if anybody has questions or things they want to know more about before we move on to the making part of things. Or if you're just excited to try things out, yeah. We can have time to chat again at the end of the session too. And people on Zoom, you can also put questions into our chat if you have them. While you think about if you have questions or not, I will show you what we want to do next. Okay, so everybody here will get the chance to experiment with the microbit. And what we want to do is actually just get you all a microbit. So maybe we can pass those out here. And so what we'll do is we'll just open up the microbit and take a look at it. We'll plug in the battery to the microbit and see what happens. And then we'll actually try coding it a little bit together. And if you are online, you can also try coding the microbit. And we have a microbit here that we can program and share on our screen. So you can make a program in this website that I'll put in the chat. And then if you send us your program, we can download it and put it on our microbits here. And so if you're doing this online, you can go to that website I just put in the chat. And I would suggest starting with the flashing heart or the name tag tutorial. And let us know if you have questions. So once you make a program, you can download it, share it here in the chat, and we'll try downloading it for you. But you can also just sort of, we have cameras in the space. So you can sort of see what people are up to and follow along in that way too, if you'd like to. So before you even plug the battery pack in, I would just take a look at the microbit itself and see what else you notice about it, see what words are on it. There's teeny tiny little words on the back side. You can talk to each other. What did you find? Yeah, so that's, yep, those are the people who made it possible to get them to all of those students in the UK. Mhm. We did one microbit conference in person a long time ago, in 2019, and it took place at the BUC headquarters. I got to go to. It's really cool. Mhm.
Awesome, baby.
And after you take a look at the microbit, then you can plug in the battery pack and make sure there's batteries in there. And it will get noisy for a minute in here. Have you seen this? No, okay. Very exciting. Yeah, you can start plugging it in.
Sure. Yeah, I was just gonna share.
Yep, all kinds of goofy noises.
USB.
It will tell you to do stuff too, like push buttons and shake it. Yeah.
I don't have my connector. I can just do the code. Oh, if you have a converter.
Oh, really?
You can also just go through the unboxing process.
Oh, and it's, I've seen these used with so
You do
many.
that, plug it in, it'll show you little games to do
Yeah,
on it.
okay.
Surprised at what those can stand up to.
Okay.
Pretty robust. No. Yeah, we've stuck them in greenhouses and they were okay. And I always hate to say this because I need to knock on wood or something. I've never seen one
Tell Steve
just
what it is.
fried or broken beyond repair. Oh, okay. Yeah, that was a really fun age group to do microbit with. Surprised by how much they can do a lot. You would be surprised. I just saw a post from somebody the other day who was doing microbit with second graders, and they were taking it around their classroom and investigating temperature. So they were seeing how hot the heater in their classroom was. Mhm.
Wow.
You want to see this light up?
Yeah.
Yep.
So this is, you're trying to make a heart.
I wonder if it wants you to finish doing all that stuff and then.
Plug this in. There's the batteries in it.
What is this?
Yeah.
What does it do?
Well, we're about to see. You hear it? Look. Well, it can be that you use this to make all kinds of things.
Shake the microbit.
You're supposed to try to do.
No, you won't break it.
Is right. Instructions here.
Playing you music whenever you shake it.
Okay, so place the LED block.
You can tilt it in different directions too. Like you can tilt
Oh,
it
wow.
away from you and towards you.
Okay, so where's the LED?
Yeah. No, yeah, you don't have to be scared with the microbits. We were just talking over there about how I've never seen one break beyond all repair, but I'm sure it's possible, but they're pretty resilient.
Ah, okay. And then you draw a heart.
Can I draw it?
What do you think they would make up?
Yeah, he was wanting you to tilt it to where you can get the.
Yep.
Yeah, there's little games embedded in it too. I think that program has a snake game in it somewhere.
Right, just put down one, yep.
To the flashing light. Like tilt.
Yep. Oh my gosh, it's perfect. Not that one.
Whenever you're ready or whenever you're bored of the example program on there, I will put the coding website up on my
All the
screen.
ones in the middle, probably. Okay, now click next. It'll tell us what to do. Uh-oh. Here we go.
If you need a computer to try the coding on, let us know and we'll get you set up. Somebody can definitely use mine.
Just another LED block. You can leave it blank and draw what you want. Okay.
Yeah, and you're welcome to plug in if you need to.
Okay, what do you want to draw on this one? Do a plus sign, a cross, a square,
Plus sign, yeah. No, X.
an X, yeah, okay.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, of course.
I'm letting her do the drawing here,
Uh-huh.
but I'm doing the flashing heart tutorial and it says to place another one. So I am having trouble getting this one inside. Oh, I just did. Okay.
No, sometimes you just have to figure out the
Maybe
right.
you have
right
to
little
draw
spot
it
to
first.
drag
And do
drop it.
we, because I've used Scratch, so I'm
Oh,
trying to
okay,
do
great.
it like Scratch, but does this go inside the start?
It's kind of confusing. You don't actually need the
You don't
OnStart
need the
block here.
OnStart.
You can just
Oh,
sort of
okay.
ignore it.
So you can just do this.
Mhm.
And then this is going to do. There we go.
Yeah, and that's nice. So it has a little simulator over
That's
there.
nice.
so you
It'll
can see
show
the
you what it's
effect.
gonna do. So if we were to plug it in,
Mhm.
Kyla, and program it, it would do this. Do you want to see if we can do that? Because I'll have to get a connector.
Yeah, and let me know if you need a little adapter. Okay, great. Perfect.
Do you want to try?
Did you get the clapping
I did.
to work? Yeah.
I missed a step.
Oh,
there. I was
okay.
13, I was-
No, it's uppercase S P U dash.
Ah, so it was like a little game that you had to
Yes.
unlock. Okay.
and then-
Is your connector
And then it did something. Yeah, so now you're ready to try coding if you want to.
I can run upstairs and grab another one.
Yeah.
I've got-
Oh, actually, that's nice. Yeah, you can go there and it should take you. Have you done any coding stuff before? Never. Oh my gosh, that's so exciting.
So do you want to make another one? Because it's, see how now it's going back and forth between those?
Okay.
What if we tried to make it,
Press let's code over there.
we don't need this. So what we do
Make
is
code
we go
editor,
over
that's
here,
the
we
one that
get
we like.
another LED light board. And we're gonna put it in here. Now I'm gonna let you try to draw a K. Like,
What brought you to the
I'm a student here at about supplemental.
You wanna scoot those last two over?
Yes, you came to the right one, I think.
No, that one's right.
That's cool.
And go one square over to the right. Yeah, and then the other one here.
Yeah, so now you're here, you're ready to try coding.
Yeah.
I was thinking this is a great tutorial to start with right here. Have all kinds of flashing hearts, a fine one to start with.
Oh, that was kind of awesome.
Do blocks. That's usually the easiest thing
I
to
think that
get
was
started
good.
with
So
coding.
now you can see how it's going.
Well, me too, and I still use blocks. You know, I know how to do different types of coding, but I use blocks whenever I can. Yeah, so then it's gonna talk you through how to do it.
So we can do another one. Oh, thank you. Okay, now we can plug it in, babe. So let me do this.
Watch the video or?
I think you can press OK.
So, where's my cord? Okay. This is gonna go here.
You actually don't have to touch that until you're all done with the coding part here.
Or something.
It's just showing you how to open this little tray, it's called.
Hold on, let's do that.
And then, okay. if you wanna-
Yep, and there's where all of your little pieces of code will be. Then you can grab that one and place it in the forever block,
Okay.
just like
and
that.
That goes.
Draw a heart, and then you can draw it by clicking on those little boxes.
Is that
They
where?
correspond to each of those
We're gonna
little.
do that if you click-
So if I go.
you click on it.
Okay. Hold on, don't do anything yet. Let me see.
Yeah, it's sort of hard to translate with the. Sometimes you have to play with it to get the right heart shape. There's no wrong way to do it.
Okay, now.
The nice thing is you have this option, but when they give you the
Look at the virtual microbit.
you also have little
You should see the heart in your drawing, yes. Download. Transfer your
light
code.
bulb.
Download.
Kind of do it in a really messy way, but they show you how they made.
Oh, I have to download it like that.
It doesn't matter either. It's, no.
Oh, God.
And then on the outside.
Yeah, but let's make sure we get it working first. So somehow I need to.
Mhm. Yeah, beautiful.
Hold on. Let me try to get the desktop.
Yep, so it's a little simulator here that will show you what your code will look like.
This is it.
It says it's another. Put it underneath of that first one. It says you can leave it blank or draw what you want. Now you can see it's already updated too, so it's showing you this flashing animation. So that's, I mean, you've programmed it to make an animation.
I don't know what that says.
Different.
This is
And
I have to tell.
E.
This is also why you do this. Let's not do this part, so I don't just hear this on repeat for 20 minutes. No, not you. One is fine. It's when you get 20 of them all going at the same time. Uh-huh.
So I did too.
Yes, okay.
Thank you. All right.
That's all I wanted to know is next. I have to connect your microbit, which, yep, you've got it plugged in.
Okay, did you download?
Oh.
You might be able to just press the download button. Let's see what that does.
Oh.
Oh, okay. So one thing you can do.
Okay, so we can pair the microbit to make it to download the code. I've pressed done. Little ellipse over here by the download button. Connect device.
You say connect
Press
device.
next.
And then you say connected with your USB.
Microbit right there. It'll always show up as plugged in.
Here it is.
It's done. Now, if you press this, it should automatically download your code.
So here it is. It's showing that it wants to connect. You click on that one.
Let me go ask. Think about it for a minute.
Now you're downloading.
Yeah, and there you go.
I can go back.
Yes, there are two.
Right.
Other.
Mhm.
So now.
Yeah, so you could do that here, or you could go back to that main back button. It might even just there, it might take you back to that main stage. Go up here,
So there's two ways. One way is you
and then I can show
download the
you.
code, and then it'll download it to your desktop, and then you can drag it to the microbit itself.
And so there's the program that you just made. So if you ever want to go back to it, it saves it all in your browser. You don't have to sign in or anything like that.
Yeah.
I dragged it to.
And yeah, if you wanted to keep on playing with that, you could. But you could also press finish or exit tutorial.
And it'll go through the process of like recognizing.
Yeah, and so now it's like, here's all of the blocks that you can use. Here's all of the code that you can use. So now you can do things like
Basic dragging.
Perfect, let me
see
see.
even more options. So there's the icons that we talked about. That show a string of failed words. It's not good.
Okay.
So it's sort of fun to just try plugging those in and just, making it, I think, welcome sign over there. welcome
So
page,
one of the
how to
things
say your name,
we're in the forever.
whatever it is.
Connected, babe?
Okay. We're put
Don't
another.
don't look it up, let's make sure that's in there.
This one. into
Find
this
that
one.
under-
Oh, I could do
Oh,
it.
no, don't.
Uh-huh. Link it
Okay,
down.
just leave it.
Sure. Underneath. There you go. Then it will alternate the times.
Do not pull
Yeah,
it
that's a
up.
good question, because usually when you code like
This is like your little simulator.
Oh, okay.
bottom blocks, it doesn't matter. You just go wherever you want on your screen. It's inside of, so inside of these little, like alligator mouth code blocks, it does read it from top to bottom,
Really trying.
but in the different chunks of code that you might have to re-put them, it'll.
Oh, it's doing it.
It's doing it. We did it. Turn it this way, actually.
Yeah, so you could do, I think an input is a good.
That's so
Put something
cool.
down when you shake it or when you press the button.
Do something else.
Yeah, and those are like little ingredients that you can add to
Try a
different
different,
programs.
because if we
These
go
ones
back,
are
there are other things we
shaped
could
like
do.
those alligator mouths.
Okay, okay.
They can just put it wherever you want.
And we gotta go in about 5 minutes, okay?
Here's that all.
How do we make, I'm trying to get in.
Yep, and now you drag that over and just add it wherever you want it in the order. No, now you're throwing it away. Put it wherever you get another one and drag it wherever you want it in the order. She's doing the programming for him, or she's doing her shapes. We made a heart, an X, and a K.
Oh, I know, those are fun to play.
Most of
Okay,
them-
you can make the shape first and then we can put it in there, whatever you want to do.
I want to make the shape first.
Okay.
Yours right now is just programmed to show that animation, so it's not. Mhm.
I make a door.
The door?
Mhm. I know, right? I do.
That look like a
There's
door?
a.
Sorry, hold on, it's probably really loud.
Number 8.
Okay, I'll do
The speaker and radio.
basic.
I just have always liked that number. You can drag it in there wherever whichever order you want it to come up in. You have to drag it inside, not there, inside one of these, yeah.
Off the microphone.
Yep, there you go, there you go. Now it's gonna go heart 8X. and
Yeah, I guess
K.
Brandon, I'll
Okay.
answer your question by talking, but maybe
So now
also
you have to say
typing.
download. No.
Microbit includes a speaker
automatically happen. Look,
built into it.
you have to click that there where it says download.
This little bundle that leaves through.
And then now watch. Yeah, it worked. See, let's see if we can add something else like sounds or something.
Did that work? Did you get it?
Yeah, we got it. She's got all 4 of them,
Oh,
but
nice.
now we want to do something else.
Nice.
Let's see, that's basic. So that's lights. I wonder how we do. Okay, let's say finish. And then, oh, here we go. Music. Do you want to add? So this is our code right now. And we just use the basic. If you want to add music to it, you can bring something over radio.
You're using specific browsers.
Mhm.
Oh, yes.
So like Chrome,
Let's try some music.
I use Firefox.
That's gonna play one note.
When using Chrome is how you can connect your.
How about if we have it play
And there is a
this
Bluetooth
right in the middle
feature, so you can connect via Bluetooth.
for one beat? Now let's try and see what that does.
You already did that one, right?
Yes.
We're gonna download Hand Me the Hamster code.
So every time after the 8, do you see how it matches what we have on here?
So I don't even think about it.
Music or different lights?
No, I want to use, yeah,
That's what-
different lights.
Okay, different lights would be basic. Go up to basic and you drag over another one of these. The big one, I think. That's how we did it last time, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Soft touch.
Nope. I want to do
What?
and
Do a cross.
okay.
That's a fun sound.
Well,
it was a choice.
Is it somebody's birthday?
I'm just gonna
Okay, that's cool. Do you think you can in between each shape?
yeah.
Let's see, how would we do that?
But can I just make this?
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to make a smiley.
Oh, that's so good. I love that.
That capability between the different program. Codes.
Your smile's a little bit.
Line by line.
Yeah, there you go. I would do one more on the bottom, like that one to make it, yeah, and take that one off and do that one, yep.
I know.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, now let's see if we can put a sound in between every shape.
I need to download the smiley face.
Yeah, you want to download the smiley face? Did you already download it? You got it.
Oh, I did the smiley face.
You do the smiley face. Okay, can you put music between each one, you think? You can do this melody, you could do it just like one note again. You gotta get it, I know it's kind of tricky to get it in between. You gotta drag it, yeah.
Connected anymore.
Might have to scoot it over to the right. Let me see.
I have one over.
You have to get it to like, see how it opens up for you.
Just say welcome to Amy.
Let's do a
So it
note in
says,
between each
welcome,
one.
just read the scrolling message, welcome. to Amy.
How about ringtone?
And so
I don't know what that is. That's a
yeah,
rest. So that will
and
probably
keep
do
running on the
nothing.
battery.
Let's try a
Yeah.
ringtone.
Yeah, that's the loop.
Ringtone?
And That,
Yeah.
the scrolling message, it's, you can accomplish some basic.
Okay, now we have one in between each
and
one.
it's called
Down.
String, show string, that says hello.
I don't know why I
So once you
did
do
that. It is
you
paired.
can write any word
Hold on.
that you want in there, and it will scroll down.
Did you unconnect it?
No.
Looks like you turned it off. There you go. It's not working anymore. Paired.
The lights are on.
Okay. Okay, let's try again. It says it connect, oh there, okay, now let's try again.
No. No.
It's not connecting for some reason.
No. Because it's overloaded.
I don't know, answer the question.
Bad response.
For welcome.
Okay, we'll try again. Let me try this way. If this doesn't work, we'll find microbit, flashing heart. Is that the first one? Second two? Hold on. I don't know if I tried to do.
So.
Okay, I'm gonna try dragging that onto it.
Why don't we do, what do you have without the music?
Trying to read it.
No. Yeah, change this, click in this hello right here. Type your name down. Yeah, now, let's see where you are. So like, okay, maybe you want to pull.
Oh, there you go. It's doing it. That's our new one.
Well, you can, but that's going to show all the elements.
Yep, that has more sounds.
The string does the same thing.
Sweet.
but it-
Okay, I think we should probably go now.
Can we just do one machine?
It's getting really late, baby.
We do one machine. I just change to a star. Just one.
So let's see if we can get it to show up. What do you have this thing show up? Oh,
I don't have to.
I'm just gonna put this up on our screen here so the Zoom people can see it too. If you get bored of just using the microbit, you can also add different stuff to it, like paper. Paper, yes. So if I figure out how to share my screen like I was doing earlier.
Did you put all the markers back? Okay, I'll be right back.
It's sort of hard to see, but these people are adding paper to make characters with their microbit. Like that little tulip over here is a wax paper, cardboard, and crayon colored on top of it. So you can sort of layer things on top of the microbit like paper, so you can incorporate it into a physical project. You also, if you want to try something else, there are these colorful lights too. If you want to see what it's like to make the lights change colors, we can do that too. They're also just fun to look at. Put these in here, and if you want to try those, let me know. We can try coding these too.
Yeah, the driver, the light. is color.
Yep, just the microbit. Mhm,
LED down there.
indeed. How's it going over here? Mhm. Yeah. I think there's an input that just say on logo pressed. Mhm. That's I know that we made a Picklebot, Martin's Picklebot with the lid. And that worked by, I think the conductive tape was going from the logo. They added some tape to it to conduct electricity.
Right, so like.
You could tickle the feet and around.
So you see, this is.
What are you trying? How did the first one go? Yeah. Okay. Second grade, yeah.
I actually
Oh,
teach kindergarten, but I.
okay. Okay. Mhm. Yeah.
So that's all I.
Yeah, exactly.
I looked at Python and I'm like, no, I'm not doing Python yet.
And now you can do blocks and then do Python. Uh-huh.
Because it is just.
There's so much functionality.
Right, exactly. And there's so many options too that it can quickly become
Just doing the
overwhelming.
sounds and
All of
the
the options.
different shapes.
That's why I think the tool is nice.
Okay, cool.
Sure.
So, I was gonna show you, I'll send you a link. I'll send you a link later to what one of my students did in Scratch. Having only had like a couple hours playtime, she created this like whole like little anime.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I can't believe it's 5:30. Wow.
Oh my gosh. It's really cool. So thank you. We're gonna head out. Let me give you this back, but that was fun, Hogella. You can go home and tell Daddy that you did some.
Downloading.
How much do they cost?
Well, it depends on how many you get, but they're 15, 20.
Each, that's not bad.
Yeah, they're not bad.
I was thinking, I mean, I
As a
could,
kid, maybe 35.
Mommy, the A is not there.
oh, I'm sorry. Hey, maybe we'll get one to play with at home. Okay,
Okay. Oh.
Oh, yeah. No, that's great.
I gotta give them back there.
Well, we are at 5:30, and so we wanted to
Thank
Thank
you.
you for your time. If you're like us at all, you can
Yeah,
keep playing
it
with
was
these
really
things
fun.
forever. And if you're online and you got to explore some
I could even
code
use program
and
funds
explore a little
to
bit
get like
about
10
the
and my
the
students
microbit
could
online. Thanks for
share.
doing that. And also it was great to see some of the code that was shared and some of the things that you were able to explore as well. So thanks for joining us. Thank you all for joining us in person. If you join us in person, please take your microbit with you and let that fuel your further exploration. We hope that you find joy and creativity. Thank you to Celeste for inspiring us with all of the ways that this transdisciplinary approach can
You sure? Oh my
inspire
gosh, that's so
creative
awesome.
learning opportunities. So
He
thank
said
you
we
so
can
much for
keep it
sharing
with
that
us.
and for
You
guiding
have your
us
own
today.
personal.
What did he say?
And this, if you're
You're welcome.
interested in
Show Daddy what you
more
did.
of that Celeste,
Thanks, that's exciting.
that's her aims.
You can have fun with it.
it.
Oh, you got your hands full. Don't you?
We'll be in touch about the next
I'll get
episode.
my phone.
Thank you very much.
If you have any pressing questions, yeah, I will be here, but I'm sure you've got to go eat dinner. Yeah, they're usually about $15-ish.
Okay.
For just the microbit. Sometimes when you have the whole pack, it's about $20 just because it has the USB cable and the battery.
And I would say that, like, as far as supporting.
Yeah, I think, I want to say it was maybe 2012-ish. Yeah,
The results of it just kind of, but most.
I think they have done research longitudinal over time about the impact of, learning about the microbit and incorporating it into their curriculum. I haven't, I don't know the results of it off the top of my head, but I think people are and have definitely studied that. There's people who study it here too, just maybe not in the same, or the effects over time kind of way.
Yeah, majority.
Yeah, but I think, for example, they find things like it's a compelling entry point for people who maybe don't identify as being interested in coding or programming or those different STEM topics. So it can be a little bit more inviting and inclusive because of both the way that it's introduced, but also just the affordances of the tool itself.
No, but this is from a microcontroller point of view.